This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. On a hump of the week, Wednesday morning, 7 minutes past 9 a.m. My name is Ayokumi, and it's that time to get into the world of conversation. Lagos, this is where we get to talk because this is Lagos Talks on the Smooth Breakfast. It is an interactive session where we get to have conversations about anything and everything as well. Today is going to be one of those days. It's not going to be any different whatsoever. It's all in the spirit of World Suicide Prevention Day, which actually was yesterday. So today is not too late to have a discussion centered around this. And we're talking about something under that umbrella of suicide. And it has to do with youth suicide. That's what we're addressing today, looking at causes, consequences, and the solutions to this problem as well. Now, it is not something new, to be honest. And looking at it, it's an alarming issue, any which way you actually spin the situation. And recent data shows that suicide rates among young people are on the rise. Now, while global suicide rates have to a degree declined, Nigeria has seen an increase in suicide ideation and attempts among its youth. It's a very, very scary thing. And one of the issues that we have here, due to the fact that reliable data isn't always available, numbers most likely are underrated. And when we talk about youth suicide, some of the factors that could actually lead to this, you talk about academic pressure, unemployment, social expectations, family issues, mental health issues as well. And of course, factor in the current economic climate, as it were. So much pressure is being put on a lot of young people. This is not that there's no pressure on everyone, but looking at what young people also have to deal with at the moment. And this is why we need to bring this to the fore and have this particular discussion. Joining me this morning, I have two absolutely amazing guests. Well, joining me virtually, I was in the studio, but joining me virtually, but they're here with me in spirit in the studio. First of all, I'd like to welcome the lady among us, Susan Agbo. She is a mental health advocate and a coach as well. Susan, good morning to you. Great to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again. It's always my pleasure to do this over and over again. So thank you.
Always a pleasure having you. And of course, the man who will, should I say, be piloting the affairs in terms of giving us his expert opinions and, of course, enlightening us as well. It's Chente. He is an emotions coach as well as a licensed mental health therapist. Very good morning to you, Chente. Great to have you on Lagos Talks.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here.
All right, absolute pleasure. For all our amazing listeners out there, you can join in the discussion. You can talk to us on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 0809 0809 The studio line to give us a call on is 0201 4489 981 We're really looking to hear from you and of course get your thoughts or any stories you might actually want to share concerning this very, very important and or sensitive topic that we are discussing. Now, Susan, I'm going to begin with you right now. As a mental health advocate, can you provide us with an overview of how widespread the issue of youth suicide is in Nigeria today? You're muted, Susan.
Apologies. Okay.
Yeah.
So, youth suicide in Nigeria is on the rise. Now, any data you find concerning suicide attempts is very, very underrepresented because of the climate in which we live in Nigeria.
Right.
The numbers are not accurate. It's safe to say whatever number you find is almost like 1/3 of the actual number because of stigma and other factors, suicide is not recorded properly. Likewise, suicide attempts. And the crown of it all is because suicide attempt is a crime in Nigeria. So imagine that you will be jailed or fined for being so hopeless and clueless about moving forward with your life. If that happens, you won't even report it. And that's why people do not get help. I just wanted to put that down there that the numbers are very underrepresented, so it's not accurate. But yes, leading up to the numbers, so in Nigeria, 10 in 100,000 youth commit suicide every day.
Every day.
10, oh yes, 10 in 100,000 youth. Again, the numbers are misrepresented because not all cases are analyzed, not all cases are reported. So whatever case that isn't reported will not be analyzed, right? And the group of people who are affected by suicide attempt or that die by suicide amongst the youth is mostly the students. And this is from age 15 to 29. So imagine, and I know we've heard news of people, even in the diaspora, Nigerians who travel abroad to school and get depressed and be suicidal, some even succeed in committing suicide. Even back here, the pressure of academic alone is daunting on youth. Now, other factors that leads to suicide or suicide attempts in Nigeria includes economic pressure, which of course we all know. I mean, at the gym yesterday, I did some sensitization talk for gym members concerning suicide prevention. And then one or two people were like, just give Nigerian youths money. You see suicide or depression will reduce. I mean, while I can agree that money is a factor, but it doesn't change the fact that people suffer from this thing, the depression that pushes you to a state of hopelessness. Another factor is unemployment, mental health stigma. We can't overemphasize on mental health stigma. People will not, even families of people who die by suicide, they are ashamed to talk about it. They even deny it in public that their family members or their friends died by suicide because of this stigma. Now, on social media and cyberbullying is that is another big problem. And I feel like that needs an entire department on its own to deal with.
I agree with you on that one.
It's huge. It is one of the biggest causes of mental health issues among youth in Nigeria. And then we can also say lack of access to mental health care as well, right? So, so that I don't take too much time, those are a few factors that leads to suicide or suicide attempt or mental health illness in youths
All right.
in Nigeria.
All right, thank you for that one, Susan. Trent, I'm going to bring you in on this particular trajectory. We've talking about the factors, but I just need you to marinate on that one. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back in, we'll get deeper into the conversation, and you can share your own perspective and experiences as well. Lagos, keep it tuned to Lagos Talks right here on Smooth 98.1. We'll be back in a bit. Quick break, and yeah, about 1 minute, we'll be back in.
Okay, Sue, please can you accept my request?
Okay. Yes, I'm doing that now.
Okay. Sue, you're muted if you're speaking. You're still muted though.
I think she's talking to someone else.
Okay.
I suspect she's talking to someone else.
But you know we're on Instagram Live now. Have you forgotten?
I haven't come up yet though.
I've been accepting. I don't know what is wrong. It's only for you and immediately this thing happens.
All right, welcome back. This is Lagos Talks and Smooth 98.1. We love music, we love life, we love great conversations as well. We do this every day at 9 a.m. where we get to have conversations about anything and everything. Bring it to the fore, get your thoughts, feel your pulse, and of course, just have a great back and forth as well. Ayokumi here with you. My guests are still with me on the matter this morning, not in the studio, but they are with me in spirit online. That is, today we're talking about youth suicide. And this is all under the umbrella of World Suicide Prevention Day, which was yesterday. And today we're talking about the youth. We're looking at causes, consequences, solutions as well. It's a big issue. It's something that we can't sweep under the carpet like it doesn't exist. We need to talk about it. We need to bring it to the fore and find solutions. I've learned over time that you can sweep things under the carpet as much as you want, but that carpet will have to be lifted up at some point. And when you see what is under it, hey, goodness gracious. Come through and join us on the conversation. You can send your thoughts in to us on WhatsApp on 0809-444-0981. That's 0809-444-0981. Studio line is 0201-4489981. Also, drop a comment on YouTube. We're streaming live right there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Susan Agor. And of course, Chente, the emotions doctor, are still with me on this one. Susan is a mental health advocate and a coach. Chente is a licensed mental health therapist. So that emotions doctor got me the first time I saw it, and I was like, okay, all right, let's see what's going on here. But anyways, welcome back, lady and gentleman, to the conversation. So before we went on that breather, Chente, I said we're going to push forward on the contributing factors when it comes to youth suicide. Now, you work closely with young people who are facing mental health challenges. Now, from your experience as a counselor, as a therapist as well, what would you say you've seen as the most common causes of suicidal thoughts among the Nigerian youth? I know Susan alluded to some earlier on, but I also love to get your own perspective on this.
Okay, thank you for this. So in my private practice, I've noticed quite a number of things, right, that's be leading people to have suicidal ideations, to have suicidal thoughts, to attempt suicide. I'm just going to be like listing about 4 of the most prevalent ones that we should actually, look out for. Number 1 would be societal pressure, right? Everywhere is choked up, literally. There's a lot of pressure coming from different places, right? There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations that society is already telling people, especially young people, to do, right? So as a young person, if you're in your 20s, late 20s, there's a certain standard that you would have achieved, right? And so it's already putting a lot of pressure on the youth. And when they cannot meet up to that standard, people are like, oh my God, I don't think I can meet up to this. And you see people would start thinking about suicide, right? So 1 is society's expectations, society's pressure. Number 2 would be social media and cyberbullying. I mean,
we see what goes on the streets of Instagram, of Twitter, and so on a daily. So literally, I understand perfectly.
Literally, we can attest to that. I think so. So why I'm part of the one of the people that will say that social media in a way has brought a lot of good, right? I also think that it has brought a lot of harm to the youths, right? Coupled with the fact, I talked about pressure earlier. Coupled with the fact that social media brings its own pressure. Imagine a young boy in his early 20s, some even now, late teens, right? 18, 19, 20, or early 30s, or even late 30s, and you're coming on social media and you're seeing a lot of things. You're seeing a 40-year-old person that is driving a Benz, right? And that is already putting you in a state of pressure, like, oh my God, I want to have this, not knowing that years have gone forward for this person to actually work. I mean, this person has put 20 years of his life. You're just starting out. For crying out loud, you just finished school. Why is it that you're under pressure for somebody that has been working for their whole life, or somebody that has dedicated 10, 15, 20 years to put in the work and to achieve these kind of things, right? You're not asking them about their process or how they got there, but yet you're put under pressure because of the results that you're getting, right? And so I
Right.
think, and so I think, right, social media in a way has done a lot of harm when it comes to youth of these days being under pressure or thinking about suicide, right? Another one is cyberbullying, right? There's cyberbullying, there's body shaming. The things that you get on social on the media is crazy, right? People are being bullied every day. People feel like they don't deserve to keep living. People feel people are under pressure and a lot of things, right? Now that is two. Number three would be trauma and abuse, right?
Okay.
So I think depending on the kind of trauma that you've been through, right, it can go to an extent of you thinking that I don't deserve to, or you having suicidal thoughts, right? So trauma, your traumatic experiences, all the things that you've been through. And just like that, I used to explain trauma. Trauma basically is not the events that happen to you, but is the effect of what the events left in you, right? And so you see,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So
So
trauma is
you
like the wound that is left behind.
Yes, is the wound that the event itself left behind. So rape,
Okay.
in as much as rape is a traumatic event on its own, but the effect of rape is now the trauma, right? So you see somebody that was raped and at a point she's isolating herself. Now that is the trauma, right? You see somebody that was raped and at the end of the day she hates men or he hates men, right? So trauma is basically the after effect of what the event did to you, right? And so
Hmm.
you see that a lot of people have been through some form of trauma or some form of abuse, and as at that point, is leaving them feeling like, oh, I don't deserve to be on this earth. I don't think I can keep going, right? So there's abuse,
Right.
and last of all, I mean, these are the things that we actually face, and especially youth, especially the ones in university, can be academic pressure, right? Academic pressure is another thing that I think we should take note of, right? It's something that is making people feel like, I mean, people need to understand that people are different because of your friend, your classmates assimilates better than you. It doesn't mean that you don't know anything. It doesn't mean that you're not smart enough, right? People are different, people are
True.
wired differently. What somebody might spend 3 hours studying, you might need to spend about 6 to 8 hours studying that same thing if you want to get the same result. And so because I feel like because of the way the academic system is designed, it has not put people, in a place for them to even understand why am I even doing it or what can I do to even help myself achieve a better result, right? And I think
Hmm.
that alone has put a lot of people under pressure and feeling like, oh, I don't think that I'm smart enough. I don't think that I can do this. I don't think that I can do that. I don't think that, I'm in the best position to make it in life or to excel in life. So I think these are the four major things. Now, there are other things, right? But these are the four major things that have led our youths of these days to actually have suicidal ideations.
You know what? When you talked about pressure scene, and you mentioned, when one sees a person, oh, he's driving this car, he's balling and all that. It just took me back to
Mm.
years ago when it was in university, and there were a lot of young ballers at the time. I mean, some came from rich families, others, goodness knows how they were able to get those riches and so on and so forth. But what we saw, like you said, were the results. And I remember a particular day, a friend of mine, we actually sat down in our apartment, like in the room, to have a meeting at come. How are we going to make it? Like these guys are balling. What are we going to do? I mean, we didn't have suicidal thoughts then, but there does seem to be some sort of pressure that all these guys, like they are, our mates. They're not too, not too different from us in age and all that. But look at them. They are driving this car. They are doing this, they are doing that.
Very
We didn't have suicidal thoughts then. We just wanted to figure out how can we also, make it. But other people would feel inferior, and of course, those thoughts would begin to creep into their minds, creep into their consciousness, and that is a very, very scary thought. Susan, welcome back to the conversation. I'm guessing maybe you had some technical issues there, but great to have you back at
I
this
did.
point in time because I actually wanted to come back to you still talking about cyberbullying and of course the impact that social media has. Now you are on social media a lot. You see a lot of things. It's a lot of nasty things happen. As Chentia also talked about body shaming and so on and so forth. Now, I mean, how would someone
Mhm.
who is on social media on a daily and is feeling some sort of way about these people are always negative towards me, they're always attacking me, this and that. I mean, what can that person actually do in terms of distancing themselves from all that energy right there? Did you get the question, Susan? It looks like Sue is still having a little bit of an issue. Okay, she's back.
This question for me.
Yes, it's for you. It's for you.
Yes, I'm back. Please repeat the question. Please repeat the question.
Okay, no problem. So I was alluding to the fact that, and a young person who, is on social media every day, who's seeing everything that is going on and is feeling pressured in a way, is being bullied for whatever reason, maybe their beliefs, their thoughts. I mean, how exactly can that particular person, should I say, distance themselves from that sort of energy right there and not feel like everything that is going on there, that is the definition of my life in its entirety?
Good question. I mean, before I even answer, I would like to say social media pressures and cyberbullying are, I mean, after maybe childhood trauma.
Okay.
I need to change device.
You're muted, Susan. Susan, you're muted.
Is she still on? She said she wanted to device. Okay.
She's back.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Good. So I was saying that after childhood trauma, cyberbullying and social media pressures is next on the list for cause of mental health issues and suicide. I mean, some people would argue with economic factors and all of that, but I don't know if you agree with me, Chente, but childhood trauma takes the #1 spot. Nobody's dragging that with that one. But you see, social media pressures and cyberbullying is very huge when it comes to contribution to mental health issues and suicide. Now, how people can, first things first is how people take social media. Why do people come on social media? Why do you come on social media? Do you come to see the life of other people? Or you just come for entertainment? Or you come to find education? Or you come to do business? So it depends on what brings you to social media. Now, there is a spirit when you're on social media, like Chente indicated at first. Whatever your motive is, if you don't have a strong mental capacity, you might not be able to overcome the things you see on social media. From social media, you begin to compare yourself to other people in terms of achievement, in terms of lifestyle, forgetting that social media is just a place people come, is a facade, is not real life. So the first things is to realize that social media is not real life. The things that happen on social media are very different from the things that happen in real life. And I'll give you an example. On Twitter, when they start talking about, dating single parents, single mothers to be precise, dating single mothers. In a lot of men, a chain of men say, single mothers are damaged. Who wants to marry baggage? Nobody wants to do all of that. But guess what? In real life, single mothers get married every day of the week. Not even just on Saturdays, every day of the week.
Every single day.
So people need to every single day, single mothers find life partners. So people need to realize that what happens on social media, in fact, is very different from what happens in the real life. If you can come to the realization of that, your life will be better for it when it comes to dealing with things on social media. Another thing is not to take anything you see on social media with all of your might. Let it be on the tip of your shoulder so it falls off easily. Do not take things seriously on social media. A lot of people come for cruise. A lot of people come just to look for who to banter with. You can banter, but let it be healthy. Banter and go, don't dwell. Right? But take whatever you see on social media with a pinch of salt. The third thing that you can do is not to engage in mindless banter. I mean, there are some social media banters. Please confirm it. Okay, I can see. There are some social media banters that are really unnecessary. The ones that start getting into calling each other names, bringing in your parents, your family, and everything that has to do with you, forgetting the main cause of conversation. Do not get into unnecessary banter on social media. A lot of people, most of the people you argue with on social media are 15-year-olds sitting behind a phone. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're arguing with somebody who doesn't even care for anything in the world, right? So social media and real life are two different things. Take things on social media with a pinch of salt. Number three, do not banter unnecessarily with people. Also, there's some educative banter that happens on social media that you can appreciate, but aside that, just ignore, scroll, and go. Because sometimes you're contributing to trolling without even knowing when you start engaging in banters like that. So, I mean, I feel like those three things are the basis of how people can put themselves. And if somebody has said something to you on social media that has affected you, or you see something that's affected you, the best thing to do is to detach. And there's that is usually difficult because there's something called FOMO, fear of missing out.
Missing out. Right.
Yes, fear of missing out. That's the reason you see people on social media, and it looks like a lot of people are addicted to social media. Because if you don't go on social media, there are a lot of things you will see. And trust me, your mental health will be better for it if you don't go on social media. So my last point will be that time yourself on the time you spend on social media. Limit the time you spend on social media. What you can do is take social media as a rest place. Personally, when I'm working and I'm a bit stressed, I just go and scroll 5 minutes and I'm out. I use social media to distress and I'm out and back to real life. So limit the time you spend on social media. The more time you spend there, the more tendency you have to see things that can get to you. But the youth need to build resilience, mental resilience, so that such things don't affect them easily. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that one, Susan. We need to take a quick break right here. When we get back in, we'll talk about stigma and, of course, the access to mental health care. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Ayokumi, Chente, and, of course, Susan are in on this conversation. You can also join us on WhatsApp and, of course, YouTube as well. I'll give you the numbers on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. The typical bank app. Okay, progress.
Hi, Sue. Hello, Sue.
Come to WhatsApp. This thing is being recorded.
Okay.
With a new Keystone card, living this dream is easier. Visit any key press, get a seat, or download together. That's the Keystone on the block. Keystone Bank is the card for everything matters. Keystone Bank. Look, the questions. Your
Okay, we're back. You are welcome back to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life, love conversations as well. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning to have conversation. We're talking about World Suicide Prevention Day, which was yesterday, but today it's not too late to bring us to the fore. So today we're looking at youth suicide, causes, consequences, and solutions as well. My guests this morning that have been sharing a lot of insight and perspective are Susan Agbo. She is a mental health advocate and coach as well. And of course, Chente, the emotions doctor. He is a licensed therapist, licensed mental health therapist, and he is breaking it all down for us and making sense of it all. Welcome back to the conversation, lady and a gentleman. It's been a pleasure having you so far. Having a great time. I need to add that. To all our wonderful listeners, you can join us by sharing thoughts on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. Also, join us on YouTube. You can drop a comment there as well at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Let me take a message that came in on WhatsApp. This is Dakbo from Ijora. He says, very interesting topic this morning. The tendency for youth suicide happens to be rampant all over the place. And some of the major causes are lack of genuine motivational incentive, environmental and surrounding frustration, plus insufficient guidance and righteous mentorship. The world is a continuous cycle, and we read world without end in the Gloria Daily. So passing down divine legacies to prospective proteges is of vital importance. Materialism has taken over the world these days, and when envy and jealousy rears its ugly head, most youth feel that those financially accomplished people in the driving seat don't have two heads better than them, and why not me? So plenty feel unnecessarily cheated and that life has been unfair. Dakbo hitting the nail on the head. Materialism. That's part of what we're talking about. The pressure that a lot of young people actually feel. All right, let's get back into the conversation. And let's talk about stigma and access to mental health. Now, mental health care remains really stigmatized in Nigeria. I mean, whenever one talks about mental health, the first thing a lot of people think about, he's a mad person, she's a mad person, that's what usually comes to mind. Fortunately, in the last couple of years, that thought process is beginning to change. It's beginning to shift to, when someone has a mental health issue, it's not always about the person has gone mad, and all that. No, there are other things that actually could be involved in that. Now, among young people as well, it's something that we see. Now, could you explain how this stigma affects access to mental health services? And is there even enough to go around, really?
Okay. So firstly, I'm going to start by saying that in our country, what we do not understand, we tend to mystify. Anything that we do not understand, we tend to add a lot of mystery to it or make it look like it's foreign. And so over the past years, right, we've heard a lot of things like village people are following you, like this person is possessed, somebody. I mean, when somebody might be going through some mental health issues, we've heard a lot of things like this person is possessed or village people are following you, or maybe this person went to go and do something and this is the repercussions of their actions, right? So we have learned to always mystify something that we do not understand. And what will solve that problem in our country is going to be awareness. It's going to be education. It's going to be awareness. It's going to bring in, it's going to be teaching people about mental health, to bring them to a form of awareness where they understand, oh, I think I might just be going through a mental health issue, right? So now, one of the things that has caused stigma, right, and which is why people wouldn't seek help, is one, the fear of judgment, right?
Okay.
I think because of it's been mystified all those years, people would not want to speak up because, I mean, if in a country where mental health is mystified and it seems as foreign, it seems as, oh, anybody that may be going through a mental health issue or not is probably, possessed or something. People would be scared to open up because of the country is going to judge them. Every single person that that they might open up to is literally going to judge them. So why do I need to, in a way, be vulnerable when I know that at the end of the day, people are still going to judge me for being vulnerable? I don't know that you got that.
Right.
Yes. So, another thing is shame and isolation. Now, shame also has to do with the fear of judgment, because if you're judged about how you feel and how you're struggling, you're going to be shamed for it, right? So we have fear of judgment, we have discrimination. They have discriminated people that may have struggled with mental health because of they did not understand it. And again, I'll keep going to it's because of lack of awareness, it's because of people do not understand this thing called mental health, right? And so every single time that somebody, may be struggling, right, and another person speaks up or they speak up, they are tend to be judged or they are tend to be shamed, right? So because of fear of judgment, because of discrimination, because of shame, and also, as I said, cultural and religious beliefs. What does the role of our culture and tradition or beliefs had to play in the role of spreading awareness on mental health, right? You go to the church, and when they bring up things about mental health, it's always as if it's a foreign thing. It's always as if it's a demon possession thing, right? When you know that with therapy, with maybe medications, you can be fine. But what has the church or what has our tradition said about mental health? All these things will stop people from seeking help. All these things will stop people from actually reaching out when they might be struggling, right? So again, I think if we put all this in factor, I think we'll have better people, speaking up. One last one is the lack of awareness in mental health, right? Is the lack of awareness, because of we've gotten to a point where people are not educated. And the thing is that if people are educated about mental health, if they understand that, oh, I think what I may just be struggling with might be a mental health challenge, and if I can speak up, or if there was somebody that even told me about these things while growing up, maybe I would have been more aware to seek the right help when I needed to. So these things are the things that would make people not even reach out for help, or that would make people want to, hide themselves or shrink themselves, because mental health has been stigmatized, right? We live in a country where, again, they will always mystify things. Oh, this person is possessed, this person. So how do you feel when that person comes to you and tells you, oh, I might be struggling? You don't want to associate yourself. You want to push them away because you feel like it's a demonic thing, because you think, because you feel like it's, it brings a lot of shame to you as even their friend. And so instead of people really reaching out to, they want to isolate themselves, they want to run away, they want to not even speak up or ask for help.
All right, great stuff there, Trinity. Thank you for sharing that. We'll take one final breather. When we come back in, Susan, we'll talk about the role of parents and guardians in this particular issue. Lagos, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a bit on Lagos Talks right here on Smooth 98.1. Woo! See how time is just flying.
Time always flies. Like there's never enough time.
There's never enough time, especially when you're like, it's going.
Actually,
It's going. Because as it is, we have about max 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes I'm pushing.
I'll keep my answer short.
Okay, so we can get all the way to at least government and policy intervention, because that is also
after this next question, you can go straight to that. Since there's no time.
I actually was going to ask Chente about recognizing the warning signs. Also very important.
Actually,
that's very important as well.
Yeah, I think that would be really important.
Or
Recognition.
we might even collapse number 5, parents and warning signs, into one. Then you guys can both get perspectives in.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you can merge it. So I'll address parents and Chinte will
Okay,
address
will now
warning
address
signs.
us.
Yes.
And then we'll just skip to the policies.
Yeah.
All right, Lagos Talks right here on Smooth 98.1.
Okay.
And we love life. This is a World Suicide Prevention Day special addressing youth suicide causes, consequences, and solutions. Ayokumi here, Susan, and Chente also. There's a call coming in. Let's take this one. Lagos, you want to talk to us? Hello. Dr. Moses, please. I didn't. Don't put words in my mouth, though. Please. I'll work on it. Good morning. It's about youth suicide. Youth suicide. So it all ties in. Mm.
You there?
Mm. Mm. All right, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Moses. I'm actually glad Dr. Moses shared that perspective, Chente. I will need you to address this, because before you do that, one thing I will say though, when we talk about mental health, when we talk about health generally, we tend to talk about physical health, emotional health, and so on and so forth. One can physically be going through struggles. One can also mentally be going through struggles. But Chente, I will allow you to just try to convince, in quotes, Dr. Moses on that one.
Sorry, so I didn't hear Dr. Moses. I didn't hear anything he said.
Oh, I thought the comment. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. What Dr. Moses basically was saying in a nutshell is that he doesn't buy into the whole idea of mental health. That he feels like a lot of young people these days just use that as an excuse to not apply themselves and exert themselves and man up and face the realities of life, more or less. That he's willing to be convinced eventually. He's not convinced right now, but what do you have to say about that?
I would say that, in fact, I've had a lot of people talk about this, always say this, like, in our days, I mean, people of the older generation, the millennials, my people, and also older, my parents' level type of people. And I've heard them say that a lot of young people are using mental health to give excuses, right? A lot of people are saying anything, their mental health, just for them not to take responsibility. In as much as there have been a lot of abuse of that, because it feels like every single thing everybody is saying, my mental health, my mental health. In as much as there's been a lot of abuse on that, it doesn't still stop the fact that there are actually people struggling with mental health
Absolutely.
struggles, right? No matter how much they've abused something, it doesn't mean that the main thing is invalid, right?
Mm.
No matter how much they've abused, no matter how much people have come out here to say this, it doesn't mean that the main thing is invalid. And I think, in a way, one of the things that we can actually do is also to create more awareness on it. Because, first of all, if people are aware of what mental health actually is, I'm sure that they wouldn't be using it to joke. They wouldn't be using it to make fun and say, my mental health, my mental health. It has to do with awareness. What are people saying about it? So you're hearing a lot of people talk about abuse, talking about every single thing my mental. Have you educated them about what mental health actually is, so that even they can actually recognize the signs in themselves and they know, okay, I think this is where to stop, because I may just be having a bad day and not be going through mental health issues, right? Or are they actually going through mental health issues? So I think the first point should not be invalidation. Do not quickly invalidate somebody that says that they might be struggling, because again, you don't know. You might have maybe gone through the same thing before and you didn't think of suicide, you didn't think of suicidal thought, but it doesn't change the fact that a lot of people go through things in different ways, right? I will not struggle the way you struggle. Maybe when you were struggling, you had help, you had people that supported you. What if I don't have those things? What if I was not put in the same position as you were put in, right? And so I'm not able to navigate my own how you did, right? It shouldn't be invalidation. It should be, first of all, a total understanding. You want to understand where that person is coming from. You want to know, okay, is this actually a mental health struggle, or is this person just having a bad day, and look for ways to help? So it shouldn't be invalidation. It should first be from a place of understanding, knowing that this person has their unique struggles. There's something that they might be going through, right? No matter how much you've been in their shoes, you don't know how it feels to actually wear their own shoes.
True story. And I mean, apart from young people, the thing is, every single person has one struggle or another in terms of dealing with, and so on and so forth.
Might I add what you just said? The baby boomers, right? Baby boomers, that generation, depression, they're actually called the depression age.
Exactly.
That's what they're actually called, the depression age. And one thing is for sure, the millennials, maybe some Gen X, and of course, Gen Z, they have better understanding of mental health, right? And that's why it looks like this generation, that generation, any little thing, mental health, you are disturbing my mental health, because they understand it and they know the extent to which it can affect their daily lives. And that's why they will first check their mental stability before any other thing. And that's why it seems like they're using it as a means not to be accountable. Are there people who are abusing the phrase? Absolutely. But just like Chente said, our first call of action shouldn't be to invalidate it, is to understand what this thing is about. So baby boomers should let us teach them. Thank you.
All right. And you know what? We need to begin to wrap up on the conversation, but Chente, we need to talk about warning signs. What are those warning signs that that needs to be looked out for, you know, by parents, by friends, by guardians, well-wishers, and so on and so forth, that will tell, oh, this person is probably at risk of, you know, committing suicide at some point?
Okay, so when we are looking at warning signs, I would like to say that warning signs are actually different for a lot of different people. So we don't say that every single person would follow this pattern of warning signs. Again, it can be different for different people. But let me list a few warning signs that when you notice, you should actually take notes, right? One would be when you notice that a loved one, a friend, your child, or anybody that you know that you're close to is constantly talking about suicide, or talking about death, or talking about tragedy, when they are constantly saying something about it, right? I think it's something to take note of. It might be that they've really given up on life, right? When they're talking about, you know, every single time they're talking about tragedy, or they're talking about one sickness, or so again, suicidal ideations can be in two ways. There is the passive and there is the active, right? The active is when somebody is constantly participating in maybe self-harm or putting their self in harm's way, like they are talking about taking their own life. And there is also the passive one, which is when, if the person is in a position that may harm his own life, it's not like he would fight it. You know, when somebody might be terminally ill, or when somebody might just be ill, right? And you know that headache or malaria is not something that you should come and be, you know, it's something that if you take drugs, but they are in a way, they do not want to do anything to fight it. They don't want to do anything to even recover. They just want to go like that. When you hear words like, what is life even worth again? Do you understand? These are the small things that you should take note of, right? If it's active, well, that's when somebody is constantly wanting to do something, or when somebody is passively just saying it, right? They don't, it's not like they mean it or they want to actively take their own life, but they can say it in you know, I don't think this life is what what's the hope of life again, right? It's something that you need to take note of. Number two would be withdrawal from family and friends. When somebody starts isolating themselves, again, I'll keep saying this, right? You know your friend, you know your child, you know your husband, you know your wife, you know the person that you're with, you know how outgoing they are, you know how this person reacts, you know that this person is also a fun person, even if the person doesn't like going out more, right? But you know their level of, their social battery, you know where they stop. When you see that it starts decreasing, increasingly, when you see that for a while, this person doesn't want to shit with anybody, he's always, or he or she wants to just lock themselves inside and isolate and not talk to anybody and not relate with the outside world, I think is a that this person, it's a sign to know that this person may just be struggling. Another one would be self-harm, right? When you see somebody self-harming themselves. Now, people have used self-harm to maybe cope, because the thing about emotional pain sometimes is that for emotional pain, you can't place a hand on that this is what is happening to me, right? Emotional pain is from deep within, right? But if it's a physical wound, sometimes you can see, okay, this is I have a cut here and I'm feeling the pain here. But emotional pain sometimes is like a deep wound that you don't know where it's coming from. And so what people have done when they feel emotional pain is sometimes to look for a way and harm themselves, so that they will be sure that, okay, I can feel this wound. Yeah, it's not more in a place
on
where
the
I
inside.
touch it. Yeah, it's not more in a place where I cannot see it or be able to interact with the wound, right? It's something that I can see. So people sometimes use self-harm as a form of coping mechanism, which is not a good way, but people use it as a coping mechanism. But self-harm is something that you should actually look out for, right? When you see somebody that is constantly self-harming, I think it's something to really, really, be very careful about and to look out for. And the last one I'm going to say is use of alcohol, of hard drugs, of substance. And now again, this can also be a coping mechanism, because people are struggling with so much, right? And most people want to run away from their problem. They want to look for a way to drown their pain and not face it and not feel it, right? So I think most times people have used alcohol, drug, just a way of escaping for that moment, right? I want to be so high that I wouldn't be able to feel every single thing that I want to feel, right? I wouldn't be able to feel the extent of what might be causing me distress in my life, or what can be causing chaos in my life, right? But when you see that this thing is becoming too much, they constantly want to be. And the thing about engaging or using this thing is that you can easily get addicted, right? You can easily get addicted. Addiction is now another thing that they have to face. So yeah, use of alcohol, use of drugs, when you see these things constantly, is something that you should take note of.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for that, Chente. That was very, very eye-opening as well. We really need to run, but before we do that, in about 20 seconds each, just your final thoughts. Susan, I'll start with you.
Okay. Final thoughts. I mean, for me, it's always one thing. Everybody needs an outlet. Everybody needs an outlet. Because of stigma, people shy away from discussing mental health, their own, other people's own, or even mentioning mental health, because what's like unstable, crazy, and mad has been used to categorize anything mental health. So people need to learn to speak up more, either to a trusted friend or to a professional. Just be open about your feelings, what you're going through,
Nobody, if you want to go far, you go with people, you work with people. But if you want to go slowly, you're alone. So in this our mental health journey, we can't achieve enough results if we don't hold hands and move together. So everybody needs an outlet, and be kind to people generally. Yeah.
Be kind to people, Chente.
Okay, so for me, sorry. Okay, so for me, it's going to be educate, create awareness, right? So some of the times we are so focused on what the government is going to do, what people are going to do to increase the awareness, that we forget that this awareness starts from us, right? I've made it a form of duty to myself that every single place that I come in contact and they are talking ill against mental health, I'm always there to correct them. Make it your own job to correct people, because again, these people do not know, and you might just be the only person that would, in a way, educate these people in their whole lifetime. When you enter an environment where, they might be saying, see this mad person, or see this person that might be struggling with mental illness, this person is an outcast, or the person is possessed, make it your duty to be the person to correct them, to be the person to educate these people, because they might never come in contact with people who may talk to them about mental health again, right? Make it your duty. Speak as much kindness, as much love as possible. And the government also needs to play their own part in putting this awareness out there. Take it to schools. Let's talk about these things. Some of the subjects that are teaching them in secondary schools, they know do. Put mental health awareness. Let people start understanding, because when you raise people that are aware, when they get into that position, they can understand it better and know how to address it. Thank you.
All right. Spread love and kindness is the least you can actually do. Thank you so much, Chente and Susan Agbo, for joining me this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We really need to run. Definitely we'll have more conversations like these in the nearest future. Do have yourselves a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week as well.
Thank you so much, Ayo. It was nice being here. Have a good day.
All right. Cheers. Now, thank you all for being a part of Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned. There's so much more to come. More great music for you as you get along on a hump of the week Wednesday morning.